baby, we are back another week and another request on the old what is the podcast going to be about. So today it is how to create a positive internal and external environment. Now this is huge. This is honestly massive, and it takes a lot to create that for yourself, and it can be really hard to maintain that at points. I think internally, to create a positive environment in your mind, it really does come from this information that you consume. And I remember when I was in a really tricky place myself, the internal dialogue that I was having with myself was just really negative, and that is probably because I was consuming too much negative information, but also because I was ignoring the voice inside my head. And that voice, I always say this, is like, as a person, you will always know what you need, and you can ignore that as much as you want, and you can try and push water uphill, try and fight the fact that a situation potentially isn't right for you, whether that be the job that you're in, the relationship you're in, the country you're in. And these are things that are all relevant to me in my life at the moment. But if you keep denying what you actually want in life, you're going to end up really miserable, and you're gonna cause yourself a lot of stress because you know something's right but you're not doing anything about it. So in terms of an internal battle, listen to that voice, and to create that positive internal place and dialogue, I think one of the most important parts of it is something that I've got into a lot recently, which is journaling. And you'll have all these thoughts in a day, and thoughts will go through your head and whatever, but writing those thoughts down, it will become very evident to you what makes you the happiest and what makes you really unhappy. And then you have a decision to make. What will you do to change that? Yeah? What are you willing, for example, I always use the news as a benchmark for this. If you're someone that watches the news all the time, I don't give a fuck what you think or what you say, not in a horrible way, but bad news makes good news. If you watch the news right now, if you was to stop this podcast, watch the news, you're going to hear about absolutely everything in the world that is negative. Something that is nothing to do with your life, you're going to hear the negatives of, oh my God, this is happening in this place. How bad is that? This is potentially going to happen. This is the impact that it will have on your life. When the truth is, not a lot will impact your life unless you let it. And again, that comes from the information that you consume. So for me, something that I've done to improve that internal positivity for myself is cut out any negativity that you are consuming. I think a perfect example of this comes from music, yeah? And I've even got a positivity playlist. I'll actually put this in the description, my positivity playlist. But if I listen to that, I immediately feel happier. I immediately feel that things in life aren't as bad as I perceive them to be, or the faults, because the reality is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you deal with it. I know that's a bit cringy to say, but it's the truth. And cutting out shit information will create a positive space for you in your own mind. And that doesn't mean, if you're a positive person, that doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. You're a human. You're going to go through battles where it is extremely difficult for you to stay happy. But if you hold on to those core things of like gratitude lists of things that are great in your life, or journaling, which will tell you what potentially isn't, or what does really set your world on fire and what does really make you happy. I think when you are completely honest with yourself, then these internal dialogues will stop being so negative, and you'll start to realize you're not actually a negative person. It's just the information that you're consuming makes you feel that way. And I think a really good way to create an internal positive space is to throw yourself at more things that make you happy. And again, that doesn't mean you're going to be happy every single day. If you've been watching my transformation over the last 4 weeks I think it is, you'll know that for me it's been feeling a bit shit, because I'm really anxious about my visa. I'm feeling anxious because I'm not in the environment that I want to be in. And if I hadn't done the things that I know that usually make me feel so good, I can't imagine how shit I would feel. Whereas now I'm just focused on, right, okay, this isn't an ideal situation, but this is how I'm going to deal with it. Another thing that I think I've been letting myself down with recently is putting my happiness elsewhere. And you have to realise that to be internally positive, to be internally happy, you can't live in the future or the past. You need to live in the present. And whatever situation you're in, you have to make the most of it, or you need to change it. So again, if that does mean jacking in your job or your relationship, or cutting out those shit friends that don't make you feel good, by all means do it. Because ultimately, your mental health is more important than anything. And I think that a really wise thing to do is, although some of those situations can be really hard, like if you're jacking in your job, where am I going to get money from? Or if you're jacking in your relationship, you want to make it work with that person. But if the stress is too much and that is causing too much internal pain, then I think it is really important. And although it is extremely difficult, you need to just accept that it's not the right situation for you and move through it. I think that that's where you're going to find that internal positivity, is doing more things that are right for you and disregarding the feelings of other people. Because I think that when you're too worried about, say for example, when I moved to Australia, my mum, my dad, my family, my friends, they're probably like, oh fucking hell, not blowing my own trumpet, but they're like, oh, I'm gutted because I'm not going to see him as much or whatever. But the truth is moving there is the best choice that I've ever made in my life, and that's what actually makes me happy. Whereas if I considered the feelings of those people, that's going to hold me back and hold me into a negative space, which I don't want to be in. So I think that's how you're going to deal with the internal battle. And with the external battle, to be positive externally, I think everything is taken care of with, if you're internally positive, then you're going to exude external positivity. Like people always say to me, like some of my mates, I remember I went round, I can't remember what happened to me. Something not bad happened to me, but that was it. It's something so little. I went to get a new journal, went to the shop, bought a new journal, and I wanted a lined paper. And when I got home, I didn't ask for a receipt. When I got home, it was like a maths book, so it's like squared paper. So someone had changed out the journal that was in that wrapping paper, which is quite funny, and put the wrong one in. Yeah, so I told some of my mates, and they was buzzing. And I was like, why are you so buzzing? And they was like, because things always seem to happen for you. Yeah, you always land on your feet. You're always positive about everything because your life is sweet. That's not the truth. the truth is just the way that I look at situations. Like there is no situation in life that I deem as bad. Yeah, it's either, well, that's happened, but it's exciting. What's next? Yeah, like, how can I overcome this? What lesson is this teaching me? And I think that that's really important. And from the external perspective, I think that the most important thing to protect your external positivity is to cut out shit people. If people in your life are causing you too much stress, or they weigh heavy on you and every interaction you have with them is negative, then how do you think that's going to make you feel? And I've sort of been going through that experience myself recently with a couple of people in my life, and it doesn't mean that you hate them or whatever. It's just, you know that your life is going to be happier or more positive without them there, or you're going to regain the external positivity. Like, if I'm perfectly honest, right now, if someone was to meet me, I don't think they would say that I'm as positive as I usually am. And that's because of, the situation I'm in. And something that I've been thinking this week a lot is like, what can I actually do to change this? And it's okay, like, I'm letting life happen to me, and I'm not doing anything to change these scenarios to then better myself, which is why I've got something very exciting to tell you all in a couple of weeks, but I don't want to speak too soon. But I've made a decision that I think will be really good for me in the long run. And I've had a decision made with me that I think is, with me involved, that I think is the right decision, which again will make me a more positive person. So I think from an internal perspective, you need to look at everything that you're consuming, and if that is negative, you will be a negative person. Yeah, it's like, it comes back down to, again, like this, it's not necessarily the 5 people you spend the most time with, but if you think you're around someone all the time that moans about money, you're going to be more money conscious, because that's just a normal dialogue. If you're around someone that's always like, oh, there's going to be a rainy day coming soon, you're going to focus on, oh shit, life's good now, but soon it's going to get shit. And if someone's dramatic or brings drama into your life, you're going to get sucked into being a dramatic person. So to keep your positive levels high, internally and externally, it's all about the information that you consume, the people that you spend your time with, and definitely the habits that you're willing to put in. And a lot of work that I would say I've done in the past comes around potentially thinking I'm in good situations for myself, but when I write it down, it's very evident that maybe those situations aren't the best for me right now. Yeah. And with this Australia situation at the minute, I'm waiting for this visa. I can't wait to go. I'm getting wound up. I'm feeling really anxious, but I know that the UK is not my happy place, and I am a lot happier in Australia, but Australia is not the only place in the world that I can go to. Whereas I know that not unhappiness lies in the UK, but it's just not my place. But I'm doing nothing about that. I'm just like, oh, well, Australia's not letting me in, so I've got to sit in this muck of anxiety and let this bog me down. When the truth is, you're never stuck in a situation. You're only there because of your own fear and your own obstacles that you put in your way. And I think that this podcast has come at a perfect time for me to speak about, because there's a lot of things that I feel have been sapping my positivity, as I say, like my environment, my living situations, the country I'm in, whatever. Like, these things have sapped who I am to my core, which is a positive person. And I definitely feel more negative, but then I have to look at myself and rather play victim mode of, well, this is how it is, no, nothing in life is how it is or how it has to be. It's how you see that, and you do have the power to get yourself out of those situations. So my advice to anyone listening to this that is struggling to stay positive is just change your environment, the things around you. Whatever you're not happy with, you will be okay when you change it. Like, you've got through worse days, I promise you that now. And the key habits that I would tell you to do for your mental health at this stage would 1000% be every day write a gratitude list, and every day just journal your thoughts on what is making you happy, what isn't making you happy. Because then you can, whether that be people, job, whatever, you can whittle it down to, okay, well, every day I'm coming back and I'm saying my job's not making me unhappy, I need to change that. Or every day I'm saying this person makes me unhappy, I need to change that. And that's where we are, I think. I think that you can become a victim of the prison that you put on yourself, which is, it's like a cage that isn't there. And when you get stuck in that, it is difficult at times to see light, because you will be in that habitual place where you're telling yourself, this is negative, this is shit, this isn't going for me. When the reality is you always have the power to change it, and don't think that you can't. All of the things that, say for example, some of the things that I've been thinking is, oh well, I can't go to this place because what if my visa for Australia comes, then that's going to be a waste of a flight. I want to spend more time with my mum and my friends whilst I'm at home because I'm not going to see them for however long. These things need to just be, they're just excuses that I'm telling myself, and you will know if you're telling yourself excuses like, I can't leave that job because that will take away the security. But what's more important to you? Security and being negative, or just living and being as happy as you can be? I think that's just the most important thing. And again, just because you're a positive person, it doesn't mean that you're happy all the time, but you have to strive to be positive. And you will know, this is as hard as it is to accept, you will know what you need to do and what needs to be done to get back to a positive place, or to achieve a positive outlook on life. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. I think that it all starts with you, and every single interaction that you have will be diminished if you keep yourself in a negative place, which I feel, if I'm completely honest, is how it's a bit of the story of my life at the minute. Because I've not done anything to get myself out of what I would deem a negative situation, it's impacted loads of areas of my life, where now it's just like, okay, cool, I need to create a positive space for me again, get excited about being uncomfortable, and then going to live. And that's all I can say. So again, if you're listening to this on whatever platform, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, mental, I can say my podcast is on Spotify and Apple still, crazy, get hyped over that. But yeah, if you're listening to any of those platforms, please leave a review, 5 stars, obviously. Like, I want this podcast to just fucking blow up, to be honest. Like, I love my coaching, but I think since I've been very consistent with this podcast, it's become something that I've just fallen in love with all over again. So yeah, definitely do that. But for now anyway, I will catch you next week. Have a fucking amazing week. Much love. And as I say, I'll catch you in the next one.